Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those who are in Zimbabwe and other places. This is Monica Kunzekwe-Guta, your host here on Salve TV. Today we have Mr. Langton Mabanga, who's going to talk to us about the 2-hectare life model. And we also have Reverend TJ Maforo. Looking forward to this interview where we are going to be talking about how Zimbabwe can actually feed itself if we follow certain farming models. Reverend, can you greet your audience, please?
Well, it's a wonderful day today. So happy to welcome everyone and to welcome you too because you've welcomed me. So great. It's a wonderful day where I am. We had lots of rain last night and lots of wind. But here we are. We are thankful to God. I'm talking about the rain because we are talking about farming, and we're talking about a farming model, and we are going to be joined by two farmers. And first off is I have asked Doug Hisken. He is a farmer here in Kansas, and I'm asking him to join us so he tells us his experience. We are also going to make comparisons and juxtapose, look at the unique farming model that Langton is utilizing in Kadoma of Zimbabwe. Did I say Kadoma? Kadoma, Zimbabwe. So the view that we are putting across, the strong view that we are putting across is that we can maximize whatever available piece of land that we have for maximum yields, for optimal yields. Now, what I want to say is for those who are in England, who are in Europe, generally in the Americas as well, who come from Zimbabwe, many of them, they have very small pieces of land, and I could almost just say a small garden. Actually, for others, it's just a flower garden, which people use. And I have seen people who raise vegetables for the whole year from a very small piece. Call it a garden, a flower garden, vegetable garden. So the view I'm putting across is that it is possible for Zimbabwe to feed herself. We are so thankful that 2020 to 2021 season, the agricultural season in Zimbabwe has been one of the very productive ones in many years. And the maize and corn yields have been exceptional. The many other crops that, well, we can talk about the tobacco. Okay, we do not encourage smoking on this chart. We acknowledge the health risks associated, but what we are just mentioning is that tobacco farmers have made exceptional yields in the 2020 to 2021 season.
Okay.
Imagine,
Can,
go ahead.
can you call him and and then he can talk via WhatsApp?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. That is fine. What I was saying is that I was just highlighting the great and exceptional yields in Zimbabwe in 2020 and 2021 season, which has seen great yields of maize, corn, of tobacco, and of wheat and other small grains and so forth. So we are just thankful that we can have that bright of a season. Doesn't that give us hope, Monica, that it's possible for Zimbabwe to feed itself?
Um, it does give us hope because when you even think about it, before everybody moved to the city,
And
is it online now?
and I have linked on WhatsApp video. I'm trying to work out a possibility for let's see, for him to talk. If I turn my phone, are you able to
Yeah.
see him?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Uh, Langton, before you came, we were just giving our own introductory remarks about the 2020 and 2021 season, the agricultural season. What we have seen is that it's been exceptional, great yields. We don't know what that translates to for the average farmers, and we are just excited to have you on this program today. Before you can even start to respond to what I'm saying, we would like to ask you um, to introduce yourself here.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Thank you so much, Monica. I'm quite pleased to be on this program. Finally, it has taken a couple of
Attempts.
instances. Yes, and thank you much. As you have said, Jacob, yes, I'm Langton Mabanga, proud Zimbabwean. I am an electrical engineer by profession, and over the years migrated, to business. I worked for a multinational company for 12 years before moving on to run my own business. I ran an establishment that employs 63 people, and further to that, I have taken to what I call productivity lifestyles. When I try to pay attention to production, to productivity, not just as a business, not just as a commercial entity, but as a lifestyle. Food sufficiency. How does food sufficiency sit in one's lifestyle? How do you attend to thinking of your neighbor, to thinking of other people in your neighborhood as a lifestyle. In brief, that's Langton, and I'm a Christian. We married to Nomsa, and we have brilliant three powerful girls. They will keep me on my toes all the time. Yeah, that's who Langton is.
Well, that's great. Thank you for just giving us that perspective. It's exciting to know the transitions that you have done in your career, coming out of a very technical field, electrical engineering. I would call that very technical, and going into management, so to speak, and leadership in general. I think that we have also included on our flyer, on our poster, that you chair an entity. Is that a government entity? Is that a private sector entity? The Economic Development Chamber in Zimbabwe. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. You may want to know that in my corporate life, in my business life, I've been quite involved with advocacy work, especially around the policy front, the meta policy. I've advocated and pushed for a number of various economic policies in this country. I've engaged various levels in the policy formulation strata as we seek to play our part in the reconstruction of this economy. I was and I am still the chairman of the National Business Council of Zimbabwe, and now I chair the Zimbabwe Economic Development Chamber. The main thrust of the Zimbabwe Economic Development Chamber is that you might be aware that Zimbabwe has gone devolution. The Second Republic is devolving powers, to the various provinces, and we are raising awareness in the various provinces what this means. Many a time, people perceive government policies as mere freebies that are given to them. We're conscientizing the business sector that devolution in real essence brings on their shoulders a lot of responsibilities, and even the social services sector also has got lots of responsibilities that ordinarily they used to rely on the central government. But through the devolution trajectory, what that means is that the various service agencies, both public and private, have to assume new responsibilities, quite new to many, and it's totally different when you simply expect to get a budget flowing your way. So that's what the Zimbabwe Economic Development Chamber is doing. We're also trying to look at the best models to employ insofar as exploitation of resources in Zimbabwe is concerned, how local communities can develop local economies by leveraging the resources that are there. foreign direct investors or local investors in advancing community priorities, such that the wealth in a district, by way of resources, by way of the mineralogy in that community, can be felt by a very ordinary person. How can that interplay to social progress? How can that drive social progress? How can we insulate our communities from being merely victims of exploitation, victims of extraction of resources that go and enrich foreign lands and leave pits, impoverished communities, bad roads, dry dams. How can we direct local resources towards the advancement of social progress in the various communities in the country? That's the whole essence of the Zimbabwe Economic Development Chamber.
And you have also been very active, and you have mentioned advocacy here, and that also ties in the you have provided leadership in the social sector. I know you are very highly involved in organizations like the YMCA, and again, also at a policy level as well. And one of the programs I can think of is how to translate citizens rather from subjects into citizens participating, engaging in issues, in decisions that affect their lives. And what you have essentially talked about is that whole process of unpacking government resources to the community level. I just want us to move straight to the 2-hectare model here. And I think that everyone has their own way of models they are using for productivity, but that what attracts us is it's a demonstrable, way of self-sustenance.
Sure.
We want to hear about the 2-hectare model. We missed that part last week, so we are itching right now to hear about the 2-hectare model.
Thank you so very much. You may want to know that there is a philosophy behind. We actually call it the 2-hectare life model. There is a philosophy that inspired me, that drove me to developing the 2-hectare life model. Zimbabwe has got vast tracts of land.
Yes.
You also know that we are one country that has reacquired land. That subject is contentious. I'm aware to a number of people, but in Zimbabwe we are very proud of that policy that we acquired our land, and some fellow Zimbabweans didn't realize that the land acquisition program also called for added responsibility, and that responsibility, among other things, includes being productive. And in any economy, land is a fundamental capital asset.
Yes.
That you require in an economy. And you go to other countries as a foreigner, you by virtue of being a foreigner in these countries, countries, you cannot even acquire land.
No.
Land is reserved for natives. Whereas in Zimbabwe, we take land for granted. Other people take land for granted. So, year in, year out, we had seen government distributing inputs to citizens. Some would take the inputs and sell the inputs without planting the inputs. The easy way out. And it could not be understood why a country with an incredible climate, incredible land, was not food sufficient. I took it upon myself to develop a model that, one, could push me away from merely adjudicating the government that it has delivered food or is failing to deliver food. I pushed myself in a space where I was taking responsibility, trying to think for myself. And the first challenge was, how can I deliver a single food line to my table?
Yeah.
There's incredible education system in Zimbabwe, one of the best, not just in the continent, but worldwide. Yet, after people have gone through an education system, they still blame government for not delivering food to them. That's a contradiction to what education is supposed to do in the life of a human being.
It's supposed to transform you.
It's supposed to capacitate, it's supposed to capacitate a citizen to identify opportunities, to exploit the available resources. Your education should be able to open eyes and minds and provide solutions, work out solutions. That's what education ideally is supposed to do. So, I took that as a challenge. And I acquired the 2 hectares.
Yes.
And I said, look, next level is to demonstrate that with optimum, structured, managed production processes, you can do a lot on 2 hectares. I had the burden on my shoulders of the millions of young people who went into universities and got stuck in the streets without employment in a country where you have millions of hectares of land. So 2 hectares also sought to provide a solution.
And just to put it into perspective here, when we are talking about 2 hectares, many people in the rural areas, they have much more than 2 hectares. That's correct?
Absolutely. They do have.
Yet they go hungry.
They go and spend days queuing for free maize distributed by government.
Yeah.
So the 2 hectares sought to interrogate and provide interventions to some of these challenges. So those 2 hectares, we sunk in boreholes, built reservoir infrastructure, did a drip irrigation infrastructure, and it has got 3 components. There is the horticulture side, there is the livestock side,
okay,
and there is the accommodation nutrition side.
And that's all on
So
2
the
hectares.
recommendations, sorry,
That's all on the 2 hectares.
all on the 2 hectares.
Okay.
So we do have our main cottage there. It has become my most favorite retreat space.
Yes.
Very refreshing. I do have accommodation for the plot a team that works there, and we do take some students on attachment as well.
Okay.
We do collaborate with the Chinoy University on livestock, especially the artificial insemination technology.
Okay.
We have we got some dairy, a couple of dairy cows there, where we started doing artificial insemination. With engagements and networking, we learned a lot about what we could do with artificial insemination to propagate more productive livestock that could also augment milk production, even from the Mashona, the hard Mashona breeds.
Yeah.
Even from the area traditional breeds, you can upgrade those breeds and get offsprings that can give you a remarkable milk production. We worked a lot with the Chinoy University to get that on the 2 hectares. We got the piggery side. We got sheep and goats. You may want to know that in the first 6 months of starting the piggery project, we realized that that project was going to outgrow the 2 hectare life model.
Yeah.
We went out and ran a pilot scheme where we would work with a school, and deliberately we identified an urban primary school
Mm-hmm.
in the high density areas. Because of the high levels of unemployment, deindustrialization, we deliberately went into this area and started a piggery project with them and gave them chickens. We have a hard-working headmaster in this school.
Okay.
Even during COVID lockdowns,
Yes.
him and his team have kept the eye on the ball.
Okay.
In no time of having started that project, they started picking eggs. We worked out that a crate of eggs could pay a term's fees for one child at that school.
Just 1 crate of eggs.
Just 1 crate of eggs would pay a term's fee. What does this mean? What does this open you to? It opens to the reality that if well-meaning hearts could converge with the plunder, the flamboyance that the world exudes there, put together, we can educate generation. So we say to the headmaster, we need to produce more eggs.
Yes.
And we want to make this school a center of excellency where a poor orphan who cannot afford feed would be sent to that school, and that fees will be paid from the project.
Man, so to me that shows that this has transcended the original idea of food for the stomach, and now it is addressing a social a very social or problem that. So I think that's very significant, and it has gone beyond your family unit and attending a community infrastructure. And therefore, it is serving more than just food. It is serving more than just the financial help for the orphans and vulnerable children. But you have also indicated that you are also engaging children, rather students, tertiary level students who come on for attachment. But that's just great for me. And I know we must come back to that, but would you briefly, and I know you have described the elements or the units that are in your 2-hectare life model, correct? You have essentially mechanized it. Is that correct?
Sure.
And you are using the technology for breeding the animals, correct?
Sure.
And let's say what is coming from that model, it's meeting the needs of the family in terms of healthy nutrition and sustenance.
Yes. You may want to know that recently we lost one of our prolific Jersey dairy cow.
Oh.
But she left a calf, and soon in the coming year, end of this year, she will be producing as well. But you may want to know that the milk that we're getting from Jersey, we're selling this milk. From the proceeds of the milk, Jersey could fund her own feed, and the feed for all other animals on this plot.
And that's just from one cow.
Yes. And now we have brought down the production on the piggery side.
Yes.
Because schools that we wanted to reach out with more pigs got affected by COVID.
Yeah.
So we had to lower down production on the piggery side. Jersey could produce for yourself the remainder of the livestock, and could pay some wage.
Wow.
For some of the employees.
I must hasten to, I need to say this. I am so sorry for the loss. As you are talking, I can sense a strong, deep attachment with Jersey.
Absolutely. She was such a, I'm sure the daughter will come up.
Yeah.
And, a couple more as well that are coming. What we have done, like I did share with you about the artificial insemination. What we have done is we are exploring that technology where you can create your own dairy head. So we are using pedigree bull varieties.
Yes.
That have high milk production genes.
Okay.
To give us a female offspring, you can predetermine the sex of the offspring.
Okay. Yeah, that's Mount Black.
To get female offsprings.
Oh man.
So we do have a few Brahman cows that are expecting that you have
Okay. Okay. Just once again, I go back and forth, but I'm just keen on just finding out what else, more specifically, what else is produced within the model. What I have heard already from the piggery project, I can understand what's coming from it. And now from the cows, you have talked about that. But from the horticultural part of the farm, what are you raising on the farm, the crops wise?
We were doing very fresh and tasty.
I need to stop you.
Produce.
Can I stop you a second here, Langton, because I don't want you to continue without meeting another panelist who has joined us here. You probably can see that we have Doug Hisken. He has joined us. Last week, and Doug, this is Langton Mabanga. You probably have listened the first section that we have been talking, and I just wanted you to well, you know, Doug is a farmer. He is a full-scale farmer, and he will introduce himself here. But I wanted to do that part. Go ahead and talk about the crops.
Yes, so we do horticultural crops. Currently, we own the market with our sweet butternuts. I was just telling my daughter to bring a butternut,
Yeah.
Part of what we're producing, we're pushing out bags into the market. And yeah, the local hotel, the hotel where we used to have coffee, Jacob.
Okay, I know.
Place we do take, this produce. We have cabbage, coming up.
Yeah.
The Chinese have become a huge market. We have Chinese cabbage.
Okay.
Also there. We are also doing green maize. Potato plants.
Yep.
Yes. Sugar beans, peas, green peas. We do peas as well. We do very nice peas. In fact, Nomsa has got frozen peas from last season.
Wow.
That we're still having. She has got frozen carrots.
Yep.
That from the last season. That we. So we walk into a supermarket. This is how liberating farming is.
Yeah.
You walk into a supermarket, don't
Yes.
look at carrots, you don't look at peas, you don't look at butternuts, you don't look at pork. You saw.
You have all that eliminated from your budget.
No, you don't even look at that. You don't do that. Over and above, you're importing schools that are on the on the low end, where there's a deep sitting poverty that you're trying to assist in as well.
I'm soon going to start engaging Doug here. Like I said, Doug, just like you, is a farmer, and so our topic today, it simply says maximizing land for optimal production. The suggestion that we are pushing simply says that, and it's a proposition, right, that Zimbabwe as a nation can feed herself. I will repeat that. Zimbabwe as a nation can feed herself. Can you speak to that using the background of what you have done?
So true, Jacob. Interestingly, in July 2019, I managed to get the ear of the president of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
about the 2-hectare model
Yes.
as an answer to the unemployment in our country. I said, look, with the well-managed, well-supported, government-supported 2-hectare model, we can get our young people busy. We can get our young people producing. We can get food sufficiency. And we can move horticultural production to participate in export-led, in growing an export-led economy. The president invited me to share the model. This year, we are in 2021.
Yes.
End of last year, beginning of 2021, the president put together what he calls the National Development Strategy 1, which is an economic blueprint that is going to 2025.
Okay.
Under the youth empowerment cluster,
Yeah.
the president has put and included 2-hectare models.
Wow.
As a model that's going to be used to empower young people in Zimbabwe. This is the impact that the 2-hectare has made and has been recognized in Zimbabwe.
Well,
It's a model that's been embraced now by government.
in your own locality, do you have other people who have replicated it from your model?
You would appreciate that for me to have started it, obviously there was capital outlay, which might not be attainable to some people. That's the more reason why we say it must be government supported for it to get to young people.
Okay.
There are other people that are going in there. Yes, we have hosted numerous people from within Kadoma and outside of Kadoma, especially who we have mentored and they have gone back. Some have gone back to resuscitate land in their rural areas. In Murewa, in Mutoko, we have people who have gone back to say, look, the first question you'd ask, one excuse that you get from people is, I don't have land. And I can tell you one thing that I know now. You would hardly get a Zimbabwean who is said not to have land in their lineage. It's very rare.
That's an idea we discussed last week, because people have simply let land lying idle, and therefore they. I think I can agree with you that everyone has a place they call land. I even made a confession on video last week that even a place left by my own parents, I should be taking responsibility. And there are many such people who could easily access that land. And again, our argument is that we can maximize, land use for optimal production. So from what I hear you, the major obstacle to such a model is resources, capital. It's not the land itself, correct?
It's not the land. It is the capital. You may also want to know that it's a model where people are challenged to use their hands. I was telling you about the buildings that we have put there, the crops, the pens, etc. The tanks, the reservoir tanks, solar panels, tanks, etc. Every piece of work that has gone in the 2-hectare life model has been done internally.
Yeah.
We never had to hire a contractor. So put this in the perspective of empowering young people. You can deliberately put together various with a cocktail of a group of young people with a cocktail, a set of skills. One can be a plumber, one can be an agronomist, one can be that, one can be that, one can be a tractor mechanic, etc. And you can build synergies between and among the young people. Already are inculcating a work ethic, team working, team playing, pooling resources, pooling skills. These are lifelong skills that you're inculcating in young people that will take them long and far. And mind you, the 2-hectare life models can be space for an apprenticeship for these young people. You have taken them away from the evil hives of drug abuse, etc. You're making them busy, you're making them learn new skills, making them productive. Allow them to fail. They'll have their own failures.
Yeah.
They will not be trying their own.
But you have given them the opportunity.
You've given them an opportunity, and one day, one by one, they'll get it right, and let them graduate and get bigger spaces of land. Which means we are creating a generation which is accessing farms, bigger farms.
Yes.
On the basis of merit.
Yes. Well,
we have put our economy from poverty.
I think that we have consensus there when it comes to the proposition that these kind of models can extricate young people from poverty, from idle life, from drug abuse, we also can forward this proposition that Zimbabwe as a nation can feed herself. I just want to take this. I'll shift gears a little bit here. Doug, you are not only just here, but this is a program that will be viewed by other people. And we all will also turn back to it. So we would like for you to take a moment to introduce yourself. And I think in your introduction, you and I have talked about a lot of things. And last week you had many hanging questions for Langton, and here's Langton. But before you can put your questions across to Langton, please introduce yourself, your farming experience, what it entails, what kind of farming projects do you do? So just give us that perspective so that people get to know who Doug is.
Okay, well, thank you, Jacob, for inviting me to be a part of this. I'm 68 years old. I've been farming my whole life. I've had different avenues of revenue production in years, 35 years. I sold seed for Pioneer Hybrid and got a lot of training, agronomic training through that job, and then also had my own farm. Currently, we're farming about 4,000 acres and we harvest about 5,000 acres of wheat because of our crop intensity on that. So I've got a full-time employee. We in a partnership with another area farmer too. We're 100% no-till. With that, we're dependent on herbicides for weed control. We have some irrigation. We grow wheat, corn, soybeans mainly. We're also working with cover crops to help with soil health. And I've spent several years just getting trained and educated about how to do a better job with overall health.
Okay, I think we are sort of losing you, Doug. Okay, Doug, you might need to reset here, but Doug is just telling us about his experiences of 35 years raising, breeding crops, seeds for Pioneer, and I think he said, I hope I got everything correctly, he farms on 4,000 acres. So I am so.
Okay.
Are you back? I wasn't hearing you, Doug. Okay, Doug, can you hear us? Anyway, I will come back to Langton while we wait for Doug here. I don't think Doug realizes he lost us. We lost him. We can't hear him. His picture is frozen for now. There you are.
Okay, there I am. Okay.
But
and I were discussing. Oh, go ahead.
Your network is not doing justice here. Okay, I'm gonna put off my phone here. Anton is back. Is on. Okay, Doug, we missed quite a bit of what you were saying.
Okay.
My question is, can you, and your picture has become fuzzy, and but anyway, go ahead and talk while you can.
Okay. I understand, Langton, what you're talking about in terms of food security and entrepreneurship and the continuing legacy to the land, because that's something that's very important to me and American farmers in general. The legacy of the land, and so the fact that there is land that is not in production, not producing food, because that is our primary goal here as farmers, is to produce food for ourselves and people around the world. And I understand the politics of food, because if you're hungry, you are going to act differently as opposed to if you have a full stomach. You because if you are starving or hungry, your risks are higher because you just simply need to survive. And so, with what you're talking about here is that you can create some food security, because you said several times, that Zimbabwe can feed herself. And that would be a great step for a nation to be able to do that. And so that's what kind of piqued my interest with the project, is what level of mechanization and production practices and access to inputs and technology. And you talked about that with the artificial insemination there with the cows. which is great. But as far as expertise too, I mean, these young people that you're talking about to come back to this model, are they going to have the expertise or the background to be able to have success and sustainability on the 2-acre model or those are all kind of questions. And is there a way for us from a missionary standpoint to help either with some of the mechanics of it, if that's possible, or education, if that's possible, with just like what we're going through here now. The distance is not as much of a barrier as it has been in the past. That maybe someone like me could mentor a producer there to help with that. And regardless of the technology or management, still have to plant seed. The seed still has to grow. The crop still needs to be harvested and cared for. So some of those are similar.
I think, Mabanga, you can respond to the questions that have been posed by Doug.
Sure. Thanks, Doug. It's unfortunate that we lost the last part. I hope we'll be able to catch up with him. And well done for the great work that he's doing. Obviously, he's doing farming at a much greater scale, and with good access, with decent access to technologies and resources as well. In our context, Doug raised a very important question of whether these young people will have capacity. You would appreciate that while we do have a good education system, we lack spaces where young people can go and apply themselves, where young people can go and apply the knowledge into tangible work. That's the reason why even the 2-hectare life model is going out of its way to provide some learning experience for these young people. That they do have that education is a key base to build upon. Using the education infrastructure is a huge advantage that we bring from in supporting these young people. So, yes, some do have skills, like where we were working with the Chinoi University of Technology. There were young people who were still studying, would come and do their practicals, and some did. That it was their first experience to come close to the cow and administering artificial insemination on a live cow. So if we don't provide the space, if we don't provide the opportunity, it is possible that there is a young person out there who is graduating, having done the theory, but without having done the practical. That's the important part that can also be a module within the 2 hectare life model as we groom, as we mentor, as we coach young people in the model. So it is important, Doug, that we include capacity building, we include live, practical sessions with these young people. They don't come ready. We have to help them to be ready. Doug raised the issue of possible missionary support around materials, technology, and education. It would satisfy the missing leg of the 2 hectare life model. Such intervention will make the 2 hectare life model round. It can, in itself, become, or it can be consolidated into a full life transformation model. So yes, material interventions, coaching sessions, education sessions, technology, education and applications, learning the various applications would make the 2 hectare model rounded in achieving life transformation in the lives of young people, not just in Zimbabwe, but in Africa.
Let me add. Okay.
Well, you add him.
Yes.
Add him there. I think that we are talking about synergies. I think there, Langton and Doug. We are talking about knowledge systems that can be transferred. And Doug mentioned earlier on that in the past, distance was a barrier. But nowadays, with the internet technologies we have, knowledge can easily be transferred from Langton's project to Doug there, from Doug in Kansas to Monica in Edmonton, Canada, and look at how beautiful and how possible this is. Why don't we use these? Because we are a resource to each other. And that resource, just like we are talking about here, these are 3 different countries represented already. Think about 3 different countries. What about locally in Zimbabwe also? That shows that this is possible. But maybe, Langton, in addition to responding to Doug, you might also talk about perceptions, because I think that the whole issue revolves around perceptions. And I think that the educational system, there was a time it tried to really bring agriculture and metal fabrication and all those things into the schools with the hope that people are going to use that, right? And people simply threw away enormous amount of education and knowledge. Is it not true that people have gone through agricultural training institute and totally forgotten about it And right now you can locate someone trained like that at Stambaslag. And
Yeah,
I'm just talking about
yeah.
perception. Can you address the perception issue?
You're very right, Rev. Agriculture in urbanization has really made our brains warped, where people thought that agriculture is for the poor, it's looked down upon. People would rather be in white collar and and have the city life, etc. And taking to productive lifestyles, even perception of peers towards me,
Yeah,
were totally misplaced. They would think that, they thought maybe the business was going down, and now he's having to go to the plot and work there. But you know what? When I first started doing when I started doing it, I have had numerous colleagues. And one friend is a bank manager who has bought exactly 2 hectares and is building part of his retirement plan on those 2 hectares. He's doing his cabbages, he delivers cabbages now to the city, etc. He has gotten over the stigma.
yeah,
I have colleagues working for international NGOs locally
yeah,
who have started buying land and equipping their 2 hectares.
yeah,
Incredible work. I had one young Zimbabwean who's currently in the UK, but spent most of his life there. His
yeah,
parents owned a farm, and yes, they've been renting out the farm because both parents are late. And this young married a young Gambian lady who has challenged the guy to say, look, now I know that you own a farm back in Zimbabwe. He says, you know what, I would rather be at the farm than to be in London. And they are coming back home. This guy is coming back home in October
yeah,
to settle at the farm. A young couple. Last week, we hosted 40 young graduates at the 2 hectare life model.
yeah,
And fortunately, our first daughter is around from Turkey for a break. She was there. And what Tino has done, our first daughter is Tino, what she has done is that from her savings, she has bought cattle, which is
yeah,
part of the herd.
yeah,
And she shared with them how much she treasures productive lifestyle. It's easier when it's done peer to peer than me telling them.
yeah,
And that's what perceptions, have done. And thankfully, we now have graduates coming forward.
okay, I almost,
And we hope that we will be able to assist some to access land. We really hope so.
okay.
So those are the perceptions that you get. But what has our education system done now, Jacob?
Yeah,
You know Professor Mavima.
yes,
He's a very close friend. He is the immediate former Minister of Education.
yes,
You went in and transformed the education system,
Yes.
changed the curricula to what they now call the competence-based learning. And they started from infancy level.
Yes.
Now it's normal curricula that the child must go in the field, must learn agriculture. From infancy, they are learning production. Our youngest daughter, connects with the cattle at the plot much more than a lot of elderly people.
Yeah.
She fancies being out there than some of these teenagers. So there is that generation that is coming. That is why it was a lot easier for us to go in a junior school to set up a piggery and poultry project, and they flourished. And you know what? At the same time we offered this school, identified and offered this school, we did the same to one of the high schools, or one of the local high schools. And up to now, that high school has not collected their stock. And this is 2 years on, almost 2 years on, 1.5 years.
They are debating.
That's what education is doing.
Yeah. They are debating amongst themselves on should I do, should I not? And the elementary school is already way ahead. And
they're way ahead. And because these young kids talk about pigs at their school, it has excited the parents. So parents also come and participate at this project. So you have a coalition of the parents, the child, and the teacher and the support staff all working in the project. What conflict can be resolved in this school when there is such communion of all actors in the school, all stakeholders of the school?
It's total stakeholdership. And I think Doug is here. I'm gonna get back to Doug. I know you had posed some questions. I think I gave you half-baked answers last week. And I want to make sure you have asked all your questions that you may have. During the week, between Doug and myself, we were talking about mechanization, the basic level of mechanization, and he has some ideas we have talked about. And we were actually supposed to meet this morning if I had no daughter going to the airport. But anyway, Doug, go ahead and fire away.
Yeah, as a challenge, if you will, because what level of mechanization are you going to be able to have access to? And because the animal agriculture would consume a lot of the production of the 2 hectares if they are dependent on a animal power. Is there a way that they could cooperate with neighboring farmers in that same model, that they could maybe have a small tractor, maybe even some kind of harvesting equipment, those kind of things. I know Jacob has related how, as a young man, that it was kind of all by hand labor, and so that's discouraging. I don't know if I could do that or not. I know I couldn't at this age, but the amount of labor that it would take to make it work here, that's even that size of track, it would be an obstacle. So anyway, that's what level of mechanization would there be available and would be acceptable as well too?
A very, very good question, Doug. I'll probably briefly share with you the context of the presentation I made to government with regards to rolling out of the 2-hectare life model, the practical way of rolling out. If, say, government aside a 400-hectare plot, a 400-hectare farm, and we had these 2-hectare plots within the farm, at the center of these plots, we have production processing equipment, a small dairy plant, a small abattoir, some packing sheds for the vegetables, and a workshop. And put in the pool tractor, a couple of tractors, plowing, disc harrows, planters, etc. Very, very basic equipment. That would really make the model much more productive.
Okay. Let me understand here. If I might, what you're suggesting here, or what you're saying, is that you would have perhaps a 400-hectare tract that would be divided up into 200 of the 2-hectare models, but the resources would be pooled to have the machinery needed to farm the 400 hectares, but the members of the group here would have access to the different machinery, or it would be a service that would be included in the that's not the right word, but they'd have access to this machinery, so it would be a intensive labor rather than of course you're managing. But is that what you're saying there, Langton?
I hope I got you right, Doug. I lost the last part.
Okay, is that, am I correct in my perception there that this would be a community process, not a individual, not everyone's each man for himself, if you will, on the 2 hectares, but it would be a community of
Yes.
several of them in, like you suggested, 400 hectares.
Yes.
But there might be 200
it would be more
families involved.
Yes, it will be best. I mean, look, government has got the land that they can commit to this. I'll tell you, look, the optimization, look, I've got a tractor, I've got all the plant and the disc harrows, etc., a tractor trailer, yeah, those things I've got. But the optimization levels are very low. So you can do with less equipment that can service quite a number of the plot holders.
Right.
And in the 400 hectare, you're also creating a situation where if someone is not utilizing the land, their cost is going to push them to produce. There should be business sense in the model. 2 hectares is, for you to get to break-even points with equipment, etc., you really have to push a lot. So that coaching we talked about, that education we talked about, should also include the business education side. Should there be 200? Should they be 150 on a 400 hectare? Should they be 100 on a 400 hectare? It's again something to be, to be pro. But is land available for such a project? Yes, government is quite keen to put this to test and offer land for that purpose.
Well, I think that it will also vary. Sometimes government may avail land for that, but sometimes an existing community can also embrace the same, model of farming, because I'm imagining in my own village, 1 or 2 tractors could do the job, right?
Yeah.
But for young people, at least those who may feel like their rural home is in those regions that are not productive, then such people can surely look for access to new land. Is that what you are looking at? And
for land, really, the various options that are there. One option is the one that we have discussed. Will government be happy to prevail a farm for that purpose? I'm sure they will. The other is to identify land that is underutilized,
yes,
and partner with the farm owners.
Yeah,
where you pull the land together. It's a very doable model.
Yeah.
The other is to adopt land that is abandoned and walk up to the government once that land is identified. There is such land.
Yeah.
You may want to know that I now sit in the district lands committee from a very big area, from Mondoro up to Sanyat. The appreciation of land, managing land utilization, still needs to be, to be inculcated in our people. So there is land, and how land can then be put together. Look, there are various approaches that can be done.
Well, gentlemen, I want to direct ourselves towards a logical conclusion of our conversation today. I think there are very pertinent issues that we have raised. I think that some of the issues, both yourself, Langton, and Doug, we will proceed offline at some point to kind of tie some of these, because I want this conversation to be a life-giving conversation rather than just, this is not a talk show. This is, we are generating a life idea that can be sustained. And how do we go beyond this? And I think this has been very, very engaging. So I want to thank you, Langton. I know you made an attempt last week, was just not possible. But I really want to appreciate Doug, because while you were gone last week, whatever little information we were sharing that we vaguely know about the 2-hectare model. He had so many questions, and that's why today we were able to have him. So we are honored to have you, Doug, and Monica.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Monica keeps us and makes sure the technology is working for us. Technology is good only when it's working, right?
Yeah, right.
When it just makes a slight difference, it messes everything. But today we have been able to, build on from that, what we did last week. And I believe these ideas are sustainable. It's possible to advance these ideas. What about this conviction? How do we, and I think, Monica, you are the master of this. How do we inculcate, that's the word Langton has been using here, in our people, number one, to appreciate land, the land they have, the land that is being underutilized, and so forth. I could go on and on. Just that general appreciation, which is causing us to therefore propose that Zimbabwe as a nation can feed herself. How do we package this? How do we communicate this? How do we make believe?
So whenever I go to Zimbabwe, I've lived in the UK, I've traveled to the States. Right now I live in Canada. And even though I grew up in Zimbabwe, I get so frustrated with how people in Zimbabwe do not appreciate how best they are positioned in terms of climate and the richness of the soil. The soil that we have here, it doesn't feel like soil, some of it. And if you water the garden in 3 hours, it's dry in some parts. And if only we knew the gift that we have in the land, and also if only we knew that we have the best climate in the world, we will change our mindset. I started South TV so that we could work on our mindset on different social issues. And so I'm really, really appreciative of people like Reverend Maforo, Mr. Mabanga, and Doug, of course, because it's making me realize that starting this program, starting this platform was a very good idea. And we are going to use it if we need to come back again and talk about changing the mindset. And so when you need to change the mindset, you don't talk about it once. You have to keep talking about it so that the programs that are in people's minds, especially that of thinking that urbanization is the way to go. Urbanization has created hunger. We need to go back and work on the land, because indeed Zimbabwe can feed itself. So I'll come back to you, Mr. Maforo, and we can conclude. But this platform is to empower, encourage, and teach.
Well, I must tell our audiences here that Monica is an author, and she has worked on several anthologies. She's a life coach, and we feed off a lot from each other. And ever since we have been running the Building for the Future in Kansas, she started traveling here from the UK, and now she travels from Canada. So we appreciate the idea here is networking. You can never hide an idea and allow it to grow. The idea is to network. So here we are. I did not even know that Monica and I went to the same high school, but networking helped us to realize, oh, we both went to the same high school here at different times. And, and here we are with Doug, with Langton, and now we are coming out of this platform. We have networked. I'm sure Langton has questions for Doug. Doug has questions for Langton, and we can meet and talk beyond this conversation. Rather, not just beyond, but growing this conversation. Let me give you a minute each, Langton and Doug, to just kind of give your closing remarks. I'll start with you, Doug.
Doug, go first.
Okay, Doug, would you go first?
Okay. I'm appreciative of Jacob for inviting me to be here. I think my biggest challenge is to understand the cultural differences here in agriculture. The processes are the same, but the cultures are different, and what our expectations are. I've got to get work a better understanding of all of that part of it here, and but I understand the food and the being able to be sustainable with food production, and I agree with Monica that we see the same thing around here in my area. There's fields that are just allowed to grow up into weeds, and it's a terrible way to treat the land that God gave us in order to feed ourselves. And so I encourage your efforts, Langton, to find a way to create a legacy back to the land. We all have that at one point in our family, at one point or another. And so, like I said, the mechanization where we can, the ones that are willing and skilled be allowed to be fully engaged in the production, because that's in my wiring here is that there's nothing else to do but to go out and produce the crops and grow the food and make a business out of that too. So that's where I'm looking and working to understand as well.
Thank you very much, Doug, and over to you, Langton.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Monica, for putting this together. And wow, look, it's no coincidence finding Jacob doing what you guys are doing. He has always been like that. That's where his heart lies, and you can never take Jacob out of these spaces. That's his passion, that's his life calling. And thanks, meeting such a great guy in Doug, producing food. Thanks so much, Doug. Just as a parting note, Doug, is any support, conversations will help, onward conversations. Sharing experiences will go a long way. And I'm really, really keen to learn about technologies mechanization, what it can do. And Jacob will tell you that in some of the equipment that for what you call old, in some instances is new, for this side of the world.
Yeah.
We can also do that as a program, for the 2 life model. We can do it as a program where you can consolidate what you call old, and we'll call it new this side, and it increases and achieves greater in several ways at which we can look at some of these things. We can also share the various varieties, being cropping, being in livestock. Zimbabwe is importing bull breeds for artificial insemination from all over the world. Is there such an opportunity we can explore, with you? Is there a way we can get some, seeds for certain cropping from your side? There are lots of ways that we can explore. I, for one, know that most of the cotton, I spent 12 years of my employment career, Doug, in our cotton equipment used to come from the States, from a company called Lamas. So it's no new thing to exchange technologies, and for what you call old can be new this side. It's something to explore as well. So thanks. It has been a great time. Great meeting Doug and Monica. Well done. Thumbs up for what you're doing. And thanks for, it's not easy, you guys, to be where you are and still think about home. So I don't overlook the importance of the work that you're doing for a great country. And that thought is huge. And believe me, it is huge. And thanks so much for the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever is remaining. I mean, the big part is still remaining for Sunday. For some of us who are in the clergy, Sunday is the highlight of the week here. I think for you as well. Thank you again, and goodbye to everyone who was watching. I did not go to read individually. Maybe Monica can do that.
I can do that. We have a comment here from Wellins Kimsimbe. He is saying that if you guys in the diaspora could talk more about how good our weather and soil is, it would help people back home appreciate what they have. Yeah. I once had a chat at a function with a lady who worked for the Ghanaian embassy in Harare, and she alluded to the same, that Zimbabweans, we don't know what we have in terms of weather.
And so, that's something that has been covered by Langton a lot, and we have Wamsinde make that note.
Yes, and another one, Chennai, said that urbanization has caused so much poverty, and people have not been able to feed themselves because they all flocked to looking for industrialization. But before we go, I just wanted to add to, this has been a great discussion. It's difficult to go. Usually we do 1 hour, but it seems with this one, we can talk for the whole day. So it seems within us all there's a passion for farming, there's a passion for land, and there's a passion for bringing Zimbabwe back to being a bread basket. And I believe that in the next 4 to 5 years, Zimbabwe will indeed be the bread basket of the world, just to take it back to where it was. But just to add on, as you were talking, Mr. Mabanga, about what is old in some place is new here. That's the same statement that I often make when I was looking for books to donate to Zimbabwe, to rural Zimbabwe. In the Western world, once a book develops ears, they call them ears, once it's been touched a few times and doesn't look, it's still new, the kids here, they don't touch. They want a brand new book. But I often say that an old book here will outlive its reader in Africa. And so it's the same thing. A book will outlive generations. So what you may see as old in this part of the world, when we have it, we look after it until it outlives us all. That's how we think we should be recycling things. We can take them where they will have good use because they are not old. They are just being used by people who have got more money to bring in new things after 5 or 4 years of use. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks to all our listeners. Please share this. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us. You might miss a lesson from this program, but you get someone who will speak to you about a particular subject, which will help you in life. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend. But remember, the power and the wealth is in the land. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Don't disappear just yet. Just hold on, guys.